Well, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call the Fire District Board meeting of October 21st to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Aldrich.
Here.
Beckman.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Plank.
Here.
Pullen.
Here.
And Norton.
Here.
Phelps is absent.
Yeah, he called me. Please turn off your cell phones. And don't text during the meeting. We have an approval of the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda of October 21st, 2024.
Second.
A motion by Pullen and a second by Fox.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we have approval of the minutes of the September 16th regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 16th regular meeting.
Second.
Oh, who's going to second it?
Motion by Beckman and a second by Knorr.
A very fierce. Thanks for the
Because we're all like...
Oh my God, I think we just lost control of the whole meeting. All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, and I forgot the closed meeting minutes. They're on my computer, I don't have them with me. We'll table those until the next meeting, sorry. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, I just had one thing on me. Chris Males is a township resident and taxpayer. Just reference the agenda item, the Jersey barriers. I just respectfully request that the fire board doesn't expend any fire district funds on barricades. While I fully support parade safety, as a township taxpayer, we do not have any special events, and the city of Douglas has already purchased their own barricades and has a phenomenal parade safety program implemented a few years ago. The only jurisdiction that would benefit from these Jersey barriers is the city of Saugatuck. So my request would be that you again request that the city of Saugatuck spend their funds on parade safety equipment, staffing, and measures which would alleviate a lot of the burden on the fire district equipment and staffing of these special events. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that your letter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there anybody else?
As resident hat on, not as...
Yeah.
Right, yes, correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
We thank you for keeping your shirt on. Nice.
Yeah, wow.
Well,
That's how we evacuate.
Cover it up.
Maybe we should all stand up and walk around the table along so we can
Yeah, start over?
Get it up.
Yeah.
Okay, request for payments. Could I have a motion to approve the accounts payable?
Since Scott's not here, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable of $183,451.46. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Beckman and a second by Fox. Is there any discussion or any questions?
The $50,000 is the TMA truck, correct?
Yes.
Or part of it?
What did I just sign a check for $10,000?
Well, they're,
We have the escrow amount for...
well, we're wiring them rate station of the 50 grand. You guys have, I just gave Chris the check for 10 grand. You guys had, I guess, any issues once you got there?
Oh, okay.
It's a COD thing.
Yeah.
We need to inspect the truck and make sure it's okay.
Okay, all right. Wondered. Okay, any other questions? We have a roll call vote, please?
Beckman.
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yep.
Verplank,
Yes.
Foley,
Yes.
and Norton.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay, moving on. We have a financial report.
Okay, the revenues, well, the majority of the property taxes, which we have collected zero at this point, they will be on the winter tax bill starting in a short 5-6 weeks away. And the expenses, everything, it seems to be fairly decent. I mean, there's nothing outside anything, just technology's a little bit high, but that's it. I mean, we've spent, what, 22% of the budget, and we're over 25% into the fiscal year. We're already 1 quarter into it, so we're more than 25% away, so far everything looks pretty good shape. I don't know if anybody has a particular line item, questions that stick out, or what?
Okay, hearing no questions, we'll move on to the fire chief comments.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm a bit giddy today because it's been a crazy week, so forgive the... So, wanted to bring up the dashboard. Highlights on the dashboard would be what you would like to know to present to your municipalities is essentially we're up 20%. As you know, 20% of 500 calls is one thing, 20% of 900 calls is a whole nother thing. So the sharp increase for this whole year is historic, and certainly September was no shortage of calls at 20%. Response times on the second window over there, response times, Eric has shown that there was an increase, in other words, a delay, we were slower. It fluctuates for all different reasons. Geography is predominantly the reason it fluctuates so much. Where were the calls? South, southeast, which is further away from the district. Third, overlapping calls. Notable is a decrease in overlapping calls, and overall for the year, 31% of our call volume is overlapping. In other words, you've got a chance of 2 or 3 calls within 1 hour, a 31% chance. That's important to know. As you have right now, the station's cleared out. They're all at calls. The other notable increase would be under motor vehicle incidents, from 45 to 56, increase. So that's another significant factor, just the volume of traffic that we're experiencing. That would be it for incident reports, unless somebody has a question. Department of Fire Prevention.
I have a question.
Sure.
How many, or have you had many incidences over Ferry Street?
We have had, I would say, probably, we could track it as far as that area, right? I remember 5.
And have they been going okay? Okay.
Yeah, we had some of the communications questions and
I mean,
challenges.
since then?
Yeah.
What's happening? What are they doing? They're having so many accidents there.
No, not on Ferry Street. Ferry Street, it's the area.
The culvert, the detour.
Right.
She's talking about the
Right.
Ferry Street.
Because you go out from the peninsula
Right.
via Ferry Street or Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah.
So I think Kathy's referring to, as far as Oxbow, there's probably 2,000 people out on the peninsula.
Yeah.
So either take Ferry Street, which on a priority 1 or priority 2, lights and sirens, or you take Lakeshore Drive.
You would take Ferry Street, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Because we can't do that, but you can, yeah.
Right,
All
right. So I think that area, there's
Okay.
firearms, there's
Yeah.
medicals, all sorts of different types of calls.
But you can get there like you used to, using Ferry Street.
Yes, so far, yep.
Slower.
Until they re-engineer that and start it over again, we can get through Ferry Street with cooperation of Douglas Police,
Okay.
sometimes Alvin County if they're around, or we'll move the gates.
Good, good. Then you told us that.
So nothing really, no, it's been a real smooth. It's like we don't even notice a change.
Oh, good.
So,
And
Thank you,
Chief,
Jesus.
how is your staffing roster? Are you happy with where you're at? I mean, I've been coming to these meetings for a long time, and John Block said, we're up 20%, up 20%. Seems like we're up 20% every year. And then all of a sudden, we're like, oh darn, we don't have enough people. So then we panic. I mean, are we looking proactively? I know that they're hard to find, but just want to
That's a
make
great
sure.
question, and I actually brought it up a bit with Jane as our liaison and some of the staff. So we had planned, this board had planned for a couple of years to add 3 people on. What has changed is, number one, the annual rentals. The volume of rentals continues to increase. Salt Lake City is annual. Chris Bernardi just maintains that. So commercials suffer. The plan review is immense. So essentially, Chris Manos is stuck with plan review. So I even went to my staff, I said, we need another inspector. Well, we have an inspector, Kyle Meyer. However, Kyle is on 24-hour shifts. I do not support inspecting after 5 o'clock. So you really have to be during the day. Well, that means if we can get Kyle to shift during the day. So where I'm going with this is, we need another person inspecting, because another municipality goes with annual inspections, which is originally what John and I wanted to do, because too much happens in 3 years.
Absolutely.
And remember, we had 72 inspections the first year we implemented this. We're over 900 registered now. So that's what's changed. Also, and this isn't about me, I had a person who was my assistant 5 days a week. I have 3 days for Wendy, and then Wendy works all night as a paid-on-call person. I mentioned to Mike, I need to switch Wendy, and Mike just about had a heart attack, because Wendy is an asset for the Thursday night medical aspect. So what we looked at is possibly talking to the board, planning where if we do anything, we might need one more person for inspecting, which means when we're short on, we shift, and we're short on a duty officer. So,
But those inspectors should be able, all those inspections, unless we're not charging enough, should almost be able to support an
sustainable.
inspector.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and if it can't, then we need to charge more.
I agree.
Well, that's why we did a cost. You can only charge what it actually costs. And this is
Okay.
kind of a sensitive thing, so everybody knows. We schedule, we drive there, we do the code research, we do the report, we enter it in the system. And some of the municipalities are getting more than we do. That's actually up to you.
It's up to us to decide how much.
No, it's up to you to talk to your jurisdictions and say, why are you getting more than the fire department when we're doing all the work? What am I gonna do? I can't
Can we
change
up our
the fee. I can only do what it costs us, and we've done this again and again and again.
Can only do the cost.
We used to do it for free, then it went to $50, then 75.
Yeah.
Now I think we're 175.
How do they get away with not, or charging more,
Then like.
when they don't charge, I mean, they don't do anything?
They just,
And you can't charge more than what it cost us?
you legally cannot, and that's why we said, well, how are you doing this? And I have this in other jurisdictions too. I know one fire department that gets $250 for the whole inspection.
Why, how?
You just have to be able to show how you do that. So we take the cost of our personnel, the cost of the program, the cost of the computer, we divide that by, say, 900, just say 900 inspections. That's how we come out with it. How long does it take us? It's a formula, and we'll take it to court. How some, the other ones are justifying this, I don't know. I don't know. But, like, for example, we had to buy, every 3 years, we have to replace these inspection computers.
Why? Every 3 years, why? They just break down?
They can't keep up with the load that's in them. You need more of a speed of a computer, you need a faster computer. They're overloaded.
Okay, so next time we buy one, can we get better, bigger ones, so we won't change them so much?
We'd always do.
Okay. But you're still changing every 3 years?
Yes.
I just think there's more ways
But-
to skin
but-
a cat,
but-
and we need to look at it.
My point was
I
the
agree.
computers were all paid for by the fees. You didn't pay anything. Came out of our budget, but you also collected fees.
I mean, we're not trying to make
No,
a
no, no,
profit
no,
here.
no, I.
They
yeah.
sure as hell are.
Right. Well,
You own a
we
rental.
kind of talked to that, we brought that up during Cindy's days, but the rate was lower. And we were pretty careful because you can make 5 phone calls trying to schedule a rental. If anything, let the municipality schedule, they have more staff than us, and we serve 3 times as many people.
So if municipality schedule, they call you and say, this is scheduled. That will work for us?
I don't know, True,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if that's gonna work for us.
because how do I, we could be on a call like today.
Right.
We had a fire call and there's 2.5 hours, everything changes.
Yes.
I'm just saying it's pretty hard, particularly when you have rental agents or you have owners that, oh, I'm in Florida for the winter, don't bother me. Well, life goes on for us that still live here.
Yeah, yes.
Is there any chance we could outsource the whole thing?
That's an idea.
Well, what you need to do is find a retired inspector
Right.
somewhere and do it
Yeah,
part-time.
it's,
And that's probably overworked.
there's so many, I mean, that's essentially what Chris Bernhardy is doing, and then Kyle will also help out, and there's times Chris will get out of the office just for his sanity to get away from those 3 screens to do some inspections. But there's still, fire alarm inspections on the new construction, there is, sprinkler systems, there's still a lot of commercial projects. So I'm not trying to, I actually understand what you're saying. I told some fire departments around us, be careful about charging $250, because if somebody catches on and they want to say, show me how you're doing this, I'd like to see that.
Well, I'd like to see how Petoskey does it, or Harbor Springs, they're kind of in the
Right.
same boat.
Right.
Yeah, but
Rentals
they're not doing it
everywhere.
legally.
I mean, when you drive there, you do the inspection, you have the software, you have the computer in the field, there's a certain amount of cost. We even added in that formula, for example, as you know, Chris and I went to MFIS, Michigan Fire Inspector Society Training Conference, to get our annual credits. So, 2 of us gone, we got a backfill. That's in our formula. Those expenses are in there. So we thought, well, we were doing pretty good at that, but when somebody charges a lot more, you're like, well, how are you doing this? But I have no control over that.
Do you think with the cap that we all are sick of hearing about, is that gonna help you, that there won't be as many in the future, and we'll be able to,
No,
I don't
we'll be
think
able
so.
to know our true costs,
Not
as
significant.
opposed to every year it's a moving target, you know what I mean?
What I see, and I know this is over.
Yeah, we're kind of off.
The way I see this is, let's give a great recent example. We don't charge for single-family dwelling building permits, okay? We figure, you know what, Stacy's building a house, we don't want to charge, even though she hires a developer who submits 3 plan reviews and none of them are right. So I personally have 3.5 hours into that. Mike's got an hour, Chris, Bernie, and myself, that's another 3 hours for one home. Why? People are building in very challenging lots,
yes.
and they're keyholing things in, and what you're getting is very, very challenging site plans that occur now. All that adds up to cumulative time that it takes. Because as you see the incident reports, that's not plan reviews or anything like that.
Okay, so Greg, the first 2 are free. So somebody submits a plan, you say this needs, or whoever says this, it needs this, this, and this. And then when they resubmit that plan, it should contain this, this, this,
Yes.
and this.
We just
If
talked
it-
about that.
If it does not,
Right.
then the 3rd inspection is not free.
We typically gave them
That goes
90
to the end.
minutes. 90 minutes, we can do a lot in 90 minutes. The problem we have is a developer that's paid by the property owner that says, hey, you haven't got my plan review in 30 days. Now, let's be honest, 30 days. That's what they did. They went to a manager and said 30 days. The reality is, that's 16 days. They don't work 7 days a week, they work 4 10s. So that exaggeration or embellishment and then run to a manager, I don't work for Ryan, I don't work for Lisa, I don't work for Daniel. And that's when every once in a while we get a builder that blames us because, well, I don't have to do this anywhere else.
Well, let's change the language of working business days.
Okay.
The fire department working business day.
Yeah, that's the struggle we have is, hey, you know, when you get called in by a manager, say, wait a minute. First of all, there's a queue. Second of all, it was an incomplete plan review. Third of all, they were sent the information twice. Fourth, it wasn't 30 business days, it was 30 a month. And we didn't even get the plan review so we're used to dealing with that, but there are two sides to every story. So we just talked about when we revise the fee schedule, which we're waiting for the CBA to be done so we can revise the fee schedule, you will see a change on residential. It won't matter if Kathy North is building a house. If the second plan review is not done, right, Kathy's gonna pay for it. We are changing it because John Block and I dealt with this 15 years ago.
Well, as a service or, a department that is paid for by tax dollars, I understand not wanting to stick it to the homeowner. They're gonna be paying taxes for the next whatever they're here.
Yep.
But the developer or the builder is making a lot of money off us. And just like these inspections, I don't think it's right, and I don't have a rental, but I help pay your salary or those guys' salary, and there they are running back and forth, and we're losing money.
Okay, my question is, you get these plan reviews, they have to go back to Douglas, Sagadick, wherever, for their zoning administrator to look at. Why are we doing so much? I don't quite understand that. What are you looking at? You're looking at safety?
The fire code encompasses all the aspects of access on single-family dwellings and water supplies and address signs.
Okay.
So we have legal right to declare what the access is going to be by ordinance. And then the water supply would be the same.
Okay.
Because the building codes don't address that.
Okay.
So the volume of construction is...
Yeah, so you have to tell the builder where this goes, where that goes, make sure, even if he tells you where it is, you have to make sure it's correct.
So there's zoning, there's mechanical, there's a building official, there's a plumbing official, so there's these layers, and we're one of those layers. So that probably however, we also have, the taxpayers benefit from this by having an ISO rating of 3, where some of the towns, like, say, Zealand is a 5.
And I don't think the public understands how great that is.
No. And every once in a while, we need to bring it up again. But the volume of construction here is unbelievable. Why? Here's a point. I sent it to 2 board members. Consider this. 1-bedroom home, 1 bath, Sagadick Township, $349,000. 63rd Street. No address given. $349,000. That's $368 a foot. That's what we're all going to deal with. You're going to have to pay people more because nobody.
I guess that circles back to my original question: is what does our roster look like, and do we have the money to pay people to get our roster where it needs to be? And if we don't, we need to think about millage increases. I know everyone hates to hear it, but if we're going to keep on growing,
I think that's what we look at this quite a bit. And the first thing I see is the rental inspection program, and then the other aspect that is, I think what you're going to see is the dwindling paid-on-call staffing. Dwindling paid-on-call. I just sent my staff an article that I read over the weekend, for example, Maryland, retainment and recruitment are one of the three things I struggle with. So Maryland, want to join the fire department? Eric, great. I can give you a $7,000 credit on your property taxes. We don't even get $7.
No, you don't.
I think that's fabulous,
I
except
do too. I like
even
that.
at this point, I'm sorry, I know what these guys make. They can't live here. They can't afford to live here.
Right.
I couldn't afford to live here to buy a new house here. Thank God I bought mine 28 years ago.
1993.
So it's $7,000, well, that's great, but
It's just that everyone's dealing with recruitment and retainment, so specifically, I think what's gonna happen is, as you lose more and more of those paid-on-call that live in the area, say Mike Block retires, Linus retires, Sean Marr is having a family, as you start losing those people, you're gonna have to replace them with full-time people.
full-time people.
With your 1,000-plus call volume, you're gonna have to, you know. So that's how I'd have to answer that, you know, succession planning and strategic planning. You know, I'd say, you know, maybe a year and a half, you'll be adding a third person on the 24-hour shift. So you not only have 2 people full-time at night, you have 3 people. But our stuff, plan review and inspections, and where is the call volume per data? Daytime. Proven, it's daytime.
I have a quick question, going back to the rentals. Does each municipality charge the same for a rental inspection?
I doubt it.
Do you know,
They used to, but they don't.
do you know what they are?
Chris, do you know?
City of Saugatuck and Township, I believe, they're either 500 or 550, and last I knew, Douglas was still only 350 unless you've changed it.
And
So
but you only get a portion of that?
we get 175 for the first inspection and 125 for any subsequent reinspection.
So that's what's really hard to fathom.
Yeah,
What-
what are the, what?
We're doing it.
What
So we
is
get
the,
set amounts for what we charge.
We get $175.
Should each one be different if you spend an hour on this one and 3 hours on that one?
it kind of makes sense, but
It averages out. I mean, some of them are bigger, but we have done time checks on these inspections, and they average out to that's our cost. And legally, I was advised by the attorneys, you can
Yes.
only bill. I don't know. I think people have a different way of calculating costs.
So we charge everybody the same.
Correct.
Doesn't
Okay,
make you we spend an hour or 10 hours on, okay.
Going back, let's say, so the additional money is going into what, administrative costs back at the municipality? What do they have to do?
That would probably be a question to ask, because that was done before her. I know I had seen one from the Saugatuck City that showed a justification, because I questioned it. So
I'm
they,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do you bill the township, or do you bill the person?
we build a township, and the
Okay.
township pays us.
Yeah, so it's I think we need to sit down.
Right.
Yeah, I really do.
So,
Yeah.
you see that, and we're like, you know, I don't know, we're like, wow, how'd you come up with that? Because it seems to me we're the ones doing everything.
Yeah,
You know, okay, I can do an inspection in 15 minutes, do you know why? 23 years experience. I know what I'm looking at, I wrote the rule. You can hire a building official, it might take them 2 hours.
well, it seems
But
like you
these
should
guys,
pay the
Bernhardy
same
and
thing as
Manos,
the
are just as experienced as me. And we get them done efficiently and effectively, and we're
So if we hired
licensed to
somebody,
use that code.
if we hired somebody, would we be paying them per incident, or we have to?
The municipality would be, just like they subcontract building officials, they pay them per inspection fee,
Yeah, so per.
or mechanical or electrical inspector.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea to lose control of the inspection itself.
Neither do I.
I don't think that's a good idea to
Yeah.
hire some outsider first of all, are they qualified? Second of all, do they?
No, they would have to be,
train?
in my opinion,
Right.
part of this
Sort of,
department,
they would have to, yeah.
and answer to this department.
Right.
Yes.
They have to be certified fire inspectors for us.
Right.
The exception would be I can delegate to a person that I would trust
But you hired,
unconditionally. Yeah, and that would be, say, Mike Betts.
but you hired them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's your next gig when you retire, chief.
Well, that's the second time I hear that. Let me write that down.
Just quickly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just quickly, Greg and I also discussed, we try to meet every Thursday, and we discussed, maybe we need an assistant for Greg to take some of the pressure off Greg. And granted, this will be a very, and we talked about this, a very difficult position to hire, because we have to find somebody that's like-minded.
Vicky can do it.
No, then they kill each other, and then...
Well, then we get rid of both of them, right?
Divorce or?
Oh, my
No,
God.
no, all serious, I like the idea.
I think we need
Yeah.
to look at that. We haven't filled the position yet, so that's just kind of in the talking stage, so
Maybe we
it's just
could-
something we talked about, and probably we should move the meeting along now.
And
Yeah,
on the
sorry.
agenda to talk about it. No, I'm glad you asked, because it's
Before
been
we
on our
move
minds.
on, I think if you, I, and whoever, Daniel, or I don't know who, Dan, or if we sat down with all the managers and you and the 3 board reps and hashed this out, and I think we should be uniform, I really do.
Yeah, I
We-
think
It
you
seems
should
We're
be.
silly
begging
that
you.
you're getting less than the township and
We're
whatever.
begging you to be, people calculate it different ways, and I'd have to really question that.
Yeah.
Because we, you know, in Grassville, the municipality gets, well, they are Lake Town, they're run by Lake
Here's my
Town.
question, even if Saugatuck is getting $500, you're still only getting $175?
Right.
Right.
And you're
And you're
getting
only-
$350,
And we're doing.
And we're getting 175,
and that
so,
doesn't make any sense.
And the-
Well, speaking of transparency, what's happening with that money that we're doing the work and they're getting the money?
you'll know if the.
Do they do any
Managers
inspections
request
at all?
don't wanna
Not
come to
fire-
the meeting.
Ours
Yeah,
come-
they must
ours-
do some kind of inspection.
Ours is on our invoices every meeting,
Mhm.
and we see what they are, so I'm assuming, which is never a good idea, that goes back in the general fund.
Yeah, and if you can do it for $350, why can't Saugatuck? come
Right,
back to
it doesn't
township?
make
I don't
sense. It really
understand.
doesn't.
I'm
Well,
glad.
I'd rather
I
see her get
appreciate it.
500
Yeah.
and put that in the coffers and help pay for an event.
Yeah.
I mean, or something.
All right, well, let's move on.
Okay, well-
It's easier to, yeah.
Well, I think legally, we can do the
Jan,
$500.
could I ask you a question on the monthly dashboard thing, or whatever, the packet? Could you go to the dashboard? Is the life calls by jurisdiction, is that in there or
It's
not?
down,
It's farther down, like 18 or 19 But or it has something.
25.
It used to be a map, and it's not.
Well, see, they always send us this after, they're late, they fluctuate every.
Yeah, I know that.
Eric, can you help us out with that?
Yeah, we get the information from Life after the 15th. Last month we got it 25th, so I can never get Life's previous month's numbers in with our own, so they are always a month delayed. So I'm glad when we get them, and we have to wait for them.
But the map, shouldn't we have, in this October report, shouldn't we have September's map, I think is what Dan's asking.
We don't even have the
We have
numbers,
not
we just have
received
August.
the October report yet.
Okay.
The report we have received last was for August.
Gotcha.
We received that in September, so I'm waiting for the September
Yep.
report.
So we're a month plus
And
behind.
these are total, that's not by jurisdiction.
28.
Correct?
No, that's total calls for the area.
It's not a big deal, but I just thought for the jurisdictions, it's nice. to
That would
have them
be
able to say. we're-
beneficial,
Yeah,
definitely.
By jurisdiction?
yeah.
We can do that. We can ask Life to separate it by address.
I mean, this is a good start. I mean, you're looking at this, and
I think over time, it'd be helpful, like during the season, when it goes up dramatically, probably in the Saugatuck and Douglas, less so in the township, and then I just used to.
I'll ask them if they can break it up. They can send it to us already allocated per jurisdiction.
Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
We're gonna be here all night.
No.
Kathy doesn't have time to be here all day. Okay, moving on, Chief.
Okay, yes, moving on, 9B, what I have is, fire prevention, you'll be happy, I think I kind of sent you an email on this.
Yeah.
We have over 72 hours at the elementary school, that's not including Douglas Police, who are with us, all fire prevention week, second week in October. Michigan fire statistics, good news, 15% decrease in fires. In deaths, 5% decrease in fires. Still, we're at around 49% of the fires have no working smoke detectors. Moving on, we are, want to let you know, cost recovery update. The team has worked pretty hard to recover 2 significant cost recovery. This $438 one was the car in the water. The insurance company paid us for that. And the other one was a driving issue. 9D, real excited, this is your new truck. This is your traffic management apparatus, TMA. That's what's in Pennsylvania. We have to accept the truck, pay for it, and be factory trained. It's in Pennsylvania. Chris and I are flying out about 4:30 tomorrow morning. We'll fly in, do the inspection, pay for the truck, and be factory trained and drive back Wednesday morning. Then what we'll do is have all the lighting put on the truck. We'll have it lettered, and then we'll equip it, we'll train, and it'll be in service probably in December.
Can we get their lettering off the back of it? All that
Yeah.
Self-promotional.
The Scorpion.
Yeah. I mean, you got, one of those pictures is the rear end of it, isn't it, Chris? Yeah, that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
No, I mean, even a message about safety for first responders, slow the hell down, you idiots, whatever.
Greg, I'm looking at this, and obviously there's the barrel holder, correct, on top of the road?
Right, yep.
Do we have barrels to fill that up, or are we gonna have to be buying barrels
We
soon?
get them from MDOT.
Okay.
They gave them to us. So we weren't gonna buy any.
It's awesome.
We also buy some of the
So we
ones.
can use them, and they
some of
don't
them-
have to.
Some of the ones that are,
Well, I understand that, but a lot of times the state rents those from,
yeah, give them a
what do you
break.
call, give them a break. That's a big business, so,
We actually had ones, we had them label them detour because of the detours. So some of them have detour with arrows on them, and so we do have barrels.
now my next question is, and we'll talk about this coming up, but would the Jersey barriers fit on this truck in a efficient way if we were gonna move something like that?
I think the massive Jersey barricade, you could probably put 4 of them on there, empty plastic ones if you had that. Then you would need a trailer, like a 16-foot flatbed, which we have the mule trailer.
Well, what's coming up, we'll talk about it.
Moving on to 9E, just wanted you to know I was reappointed to the Insurance Company State Pool Committee. We made some pretty good decisions on that committee. It's nice to be involved, and most of them are Zoom, so I don't have to go anywhere. That concludes chief comments, Madam Chair.
Okay, moving on, unfinished business, the Jersey barrier update.
So the cheapest rate I could find for plastic Jersey barrier was $378. That was the cheapest I could find for a typical, there are different variations. This is the most common type. We would have to fill them up with water. The advantage is they're easier to move when they're empty. In contrast, concrete's about $58. Different handling techniques, but that's what Saugatuck City has use of for, say, when they have all their wood chips and their dirt, they use those concrete blocks. And then Douglas also has a inventory of those they use at their parades, and they move them with their heavy equipment. So when you look at, and I actually wrote an email to Ryan Cummins, and I wrote a justification. As you know, when they changed the parade route, we were just doing Butler Street. When the ad hoc committee met, there were only 2 parade routes. One large one for like
4th of July.
4th of July and for the school. Then the other parade route that the body supported was Butler Street. Well, it came back Wicks Park, which encompasses Water Street and Butler Street. So I wrote a justification to please reduce this to Butler Street, reduces cost, staffing, fatigue, anxiety, burnout. And the last pre-event planning meeting, I proposed this, and they approved it that way. Whether or not the council does, I don't know, but it was strictly Butler Street. April Gundy was very receptive to just doing this parade, and she had represented another parade at Christmas, December 7th parade, which was again, Water Street and Butler. And she said, can I just submit this now, and I'll do it on Butler Street. So obviously, big different resources. Do you need 12 barriers, or do you need 24 barriers? Different. Do you need 24 trucks? Both the parade routes that included Wicks Park lineup were 18 blockers. 18 blockers. Just an FYI, we had a school event, homecoming parade, and we had done the Zoom meeting with Scott Herbert, DPW supervisor, Jamie, school, myself, and they went around the Zoom table, shall we say, and what could we provide? And Scott Herbert said 1 vehicle, 1 person. With the fire, I said we did 4 last year, we'll do 4 this year. And then they went to the county, and the county said we'll do at least 3, maybe 5. Well, then we were short. So I pushed my bar and said, hey, what about this school event? What about the buses? And they said they would reach out to administration, see about the buses.
Yeah, the school event, it makes sense.
So an hour and a half before the event, and I came in to work on a Friday and to staff it along with Mike and others, and they forgot.
The school forgot.
Right. So we had to scramble to get more blockers, and we were short 1, which that left the parade route wide open. So that's one of the disadvantages of private operated vehicles is sometimes you can get them, sometimes you can't, or so that's tough. But you can't do 18 intersections or 18 blockers. That's why we got down to Saugatuck City and said, can't you just do it like Douglas where it's Center Street? Unfair comparison, but that's what we do. And April Gundy was all for it. Of course, it's subject to the council approval. I hope that makes sense.
So,
How did Ryan respond to that, to your letter?
Ryan was on that Zoom.
No, but on your
Oh,
letter, your letter.
very favorably, he says, understand. But well, it's up to the council. I'm just telling you, we can't do this. We can't do it. So whatever you want to do.
well, we are gonna cover that a little later. in the-
Right.
I guess the
Yeah.
question is how many minimum of these would we need to support the parade that goes down Butler Street, and goes down, Main Street and Douglas?
So say you have 8 intersections. You have 2 and 2, 8 times 4, 32 barriers. Because 1 won't do it, So that's what I come up with, 8 intersections. You need 2 and 2. You can put truck, and then Butler Street's blocked. But I think it's 8 intersections.
So basically what you're saying is half of what you're looking at right here. You need 32.
I thought we figured we needed 4 for each intersection, was why I put in 64. I thought to get the length across of each intersection, I thought it was 4. I don't remember now.
The reason I don't think so, Chris, and I could be wrong on some of them, is because a lot of them, the curb comes and flares so nobody parks by the stop sign. Does that make sense? The dynamics of the roadway change. And if you space them right, I was hoping to. Because when you look at that, that's 12 feet. A pickup truck, a parking space is 8 by 20. You put a 3-foot spot into it. I thought I could do it with 2 6-foot pieces.
Well, the cooperation with this could all change in another month if the elections go differently than what they have then. And maybe this should be put on the agenda for next month. There was a lot of talk a while ago, and we talked about this before, of like businesses buying barricades and putting advertising on the side of them. I mean, 300, what are they, 378? That's not ridiculous for advertising and for safety.
Discuss that.
So let's discuss that with the cities, and that's another thing where we need to have this roundtable with the cities and talk about these things that need to be done. So I think let's just table this until next month.
It doesn't even need to be advertising. I mean, you can go to the general public and say, buy a barrier.
Yeah, Greg and...
Don't have your name put on it. I mean,
donated by Greg and Vicky Janik.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I'll buy them.
Jerry and Wendy will buy 8 of them, donated by...
Wow, aren't they generous?
I just kind of, I sit here and think, this is so common sense
Yeah.
to have these damn things. Why, I mean, why are we using personal vehicles? I mean, there's got to be, I wouldn't let you use my car. My insurance company probably wouldn't let you use my car. These things can be drained, loaded up probably by hand. I bet you 2 people could lift them. And you put them in the road, and if you have to move one, you can drain it quick and probably push it out of the way. Whereas you put a vehicle there, and hopefully the keys are somewhere to be found, and the driver's somewhere to be found, otherwise you're not moving it.
It is.
You gotta put it somewhere.
Mike, how long does it take to drain one?
Too long.
Does it?
Remember when we talked about this 3 years ago, and these barricades took us to the more expensive ones, right? The Archers. And this landed us with the Archers, and one of the things that I recall was this still brings us into the game. Now we're filling them.
Right.
It's not necessarily alleviating our personnel involved in blocking. Because now we gotta go down and fill them. Now we gotta go set them up. Where the Archers put it back on DPW in the city.
What's an Archer?
Why do we have to
The Archer was the steel ones that...
Steel ones. Like
Okay, the
Holland-
steel ones,
Yeah.
okay.
Holland uses it at their...
Farmer's market.
Farmer's market.
But the prices on those Archers have, since we looked at that originally, have just skyrocketed.
More than that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They've taken off.
They're $1,500 per one.
They
When I
started
introduced
using them
them,
at big
they were
events like
$800.
NASCAR and NFL games, huge events in like LA, and this is my opinion, that helped run the price up just like everything else, right? But the ease of movement, now that is one tool, like turns it into a dolly and it's out of the way. It seemed like it took 2 to 3 minutes to drain one, because it's only about 1.5 inch hole.
Well, we could change that.
Sure, and that, you know.
And you
depends on the-
put a hole in the top, it's probably gonna drain.
Vent it.
Well, that's it, but,
Vent it.
you know, if you get around that, I call that justifiable damage, right? If I gotta get it drained quicker, I'll poke holes in it, but that's how that goes. My concern personally on that is that it still ties up our personnel.
That's why I
Which we
think
don't have.
Douglas went with the concrete blocks, because they can provide, they're a lot easier to move with a loader, that they pick them up with forklift or the forks on there. and
I'm
same
not a
thing
fan
as-
of that.
And
The
Saugatuck-
safety issue.
And Saugatuck does the same thing, that they have ports for their little skid steer that they can pick them up. But you're not lifting them that high, it's just enough to move them out of the intersection. so.
But my question there is, you just said Douglas is moving them around.
Yeah.
If we bought these damn things and Douglas is having a parade, come and get them.
Douglas
We're
already has-
requiring you to have these.
Douglas already has their own, they do
Well,
their,
then that's fine.
and that's why I was saying earlier that the city of Saugatuck should really be the one buying this stuff, because they're the only ones who actually need it. Douglas already has, I bet they've got 20 or 30 of those, then they painted them yellow, they set them up on 4x4, so they're easy to stick the forks underneath. That they've got a hell of a parade safety program over in Douglas that they do really well with, and it just, I think, giving Saugatuck that white paper, or the updated white paper, to get them to follow Douglas's lead would probably be the better bet.
Saugatuck's been using the concrete blocks at Coughlin Park,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you've noticed. They're a standard block, they don't stick out, they're not painted like Douglas's are. But they have been using them all summer at Coughlin Park for events there.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's just take this discussion to next month and move on. We've got a big,
Okay.
Okay, so we're
Agenda.
tabling this also?
yes. Okay, the next on the agenda is the collective bargaining agreement.
Just for comments by you, because you were at the last one,
Right.
you and,
Oh,
Dan.
We had a meeting with the bargaining unit, and they brought us up to date on where they were with the bargaining agreement, and we haven't met again since then. So we're just up to date. Mike?
I don't want to talk out of turn, but.
No, go ahead.
Part of what I came tonight was, I got all you guys all at the same spot to come up with a date, and I apologize for, the last 2 weeks around here have been like,
A zoo.
yeah, so we've kind of lost track of time.
well, we had training for a week, and we
Oh, yeah,
had
no,
fire prevention
yeah.
for a week, and
Yeah.
something's gotta give.
Right, absolutely. So that's why we haven't met, because
Okay.
life is
Has
ridiculous, crazy.
gotten in the way.
If we can come up with a date after the meeting, it's fine, or before, whatever works for you guys. Yeah.
Pretty much Dan and I think are available, right, Dan?
Yep.
So you guys, you're the guys with the
Okay, no,
the
it's.
schedule. So
I'll get with Mike, and we'll send out something to see how you guys,
Right.
see if you're available.
We're better in the I'm better in the afternoons, early afternoons,
Okay,
but I'm closed now,
okay.
so I can be done. All right, moving on, where am I?
See,
Special event fees,
page 19.
page 19. Greg and I have been working on this. Yeah. So Greg and I have been working on a special event policy. And this is what we came up with. And I think this is important in that it's a way out for the fire department. We put in here that you need to come up with a safety plan, we need to sign off on it. If you don't want to come up with a safety plan for us to sign off on, then it's on you. It's your liability, it's not us. So I think we needed that, and then I'll open this up for discussion on what Greg and I have come up with.
Well, can we do anything, we tabled the special event fees. Don't we need to have fees before we have a policy?
Oh, no, we need a policy.
We have a fee schedule.
We have a fee schedule.
We have a
need
fee schedule, it
policy.
just needs to be updated, but we have a fee schedule.
Okay.
Can I point out something? What I believe the sense we got from the committee was that the wages are their hourly wages, not benefits. And there's no truck charges, so the compensation is what their typical hourly wage is. So I wanted to point that out. And then I said specifically, what we would not charge for is listed on the back page on page 20. Would be national holiday stuff, Memorial Day, 4th of July parade, 4th of July fireworks, Veterans Day. The high school homecoming parade was something I suggested, Jane was all for it, and the Christmas parade. Everything else, Rotary, whatever, it's all billable. this is what we're proposing to you guys.
The high school homecoming parade lasts all of 20 minutes, so that's not a huge commitment on our part. Sometimes it is. And the Christmas parade is Christmas, so I'm feeling better about this event policy. If anybody has any input on it, glad to.
Do you have the fee schedule? Is that in there?
I didn't put it in there, for example, the fee schedule is one I use for billing for Halloween. That's because we haven't done a wage rate increase July 1st. So, but I can certainly send it out to everybody.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Isn't that the 175 you're talking about?
No, that's for rentals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This would be,
Yeah, yeah.
that's okay, this is more like for cost recovery,
Okay.
you know?
I'd
So-
like to see if it isn't possible to put an element of teeth into this thing, that I'm afraid if it's not present, we're gonna be in kind of a similar well, I'm thinking, for example, the key part is the event organizers requiring them, which is absolutely correct, that they have to apply and they have to then provide and meet the requirements. We've seen it happen before where they kind of just run up to 11 hour and 59th minute and, oh, I can't do that, but I can't do it. Well, you know, and I'll get somebody, my neighbor, to help this or fill that gap or this gap or whatever. I think there's a point where it would be helpful to have that the event safety, whatever you call it, requirements have been met, and we issue a certificate that they have or that they have not been met. Because the part where there's teeth in this, or where there needs to be teeth, is where we say, and if you don't, that's on you. Okay, it's one thing to say that in a meeting. It's quite another thing to hand somebody a certificate that says, this application has not met the standards and therefore is not approved by the fire district. Because then, now it's crystal clear, and it's in writing, and it has force, because scare the crap out of you.
Well,
Whomever.
that's one more
Well, the
step.
other side of that is, that means they will get the information to this department sooner than later.
I do, yeah, to get it done.
And I also think that we might have to do something up front to basically say, these are our safety requirements.
Okay.
Kind of give them a bullet point, and then they tell you this, how you're gonna do it.
I have a solution. Consider this. We do that same process with a tent inspection. We send out and we go, Kathy, this is what we're looking at. Here's what we're gonna inspect. Give them the checklist.
Exactly.
I got it from Ken Trester for chili cook-off. But when we went to the Zoom meeting, Ken, they had it all done.
Yeah, you got someone brand new that wants to run a parade or something, and they're willing to do everything we require. It sure as hell would be easier if you just said, well, this is what we require.
Right.
Meet it. And how are you gonna meet it?
But again, the teeth are, if you don't or can't, then we will issue, the fire district will issue an official non-compliance certificate for that specific event. Good luck with your insurance company.
Well, and this is what we ran into with, say, the Mount Baldhead run. Gee, Greg, we need 500 cones, and you can drop them off here and here. And then when Greg said, no, I'm not dropping them off anywhere, they said, well, we'll just borrow your truck and take, what? No, these are not for you to borrow. So that's in this, that you can't borrow trucks and you can't, and, you know, you could borrow cones from us, but you pick them up and you bring them back in the number and in the condition they were in when you borrowed them. So I think this puts a lot of teeth into it, but I like your certificate, that would be good.
I think to support what Dan is saying is I think there should be a timeline on it too.
Oh, absolutely.
So that if it isn't met by so many days out from the event.
Right.
That's when that certificate gets issued. Non-compliance, 48
Yeah, but there is
hours.
an opportunity to fix it. I mean, if they have the information, they don't do it, then
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Give them a few days and they'll get.
We could draft something, and bring it to you next, we could easily develop a checklist, which I think is, that really helped the whole tent inspection thing. Hey, you knew this is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No surprises.
There's the answer to the test, now take the test.
Right.
If you can't pass, then you're not gonna get it.
I
If
like
you were
what you
so-
put in here about food trucks too.
Yeah, food
Because
vendors
that's
are,
always a problem, and they wanna show up, you know, an hour after they're supposed to show up, and
Kathy learned on that one real well.
with no inspection.
Yep.
And there is Greg said there was a sticker for the inspection. We honor Grand Rapids
Reciprocal.
truck, or vendor trucks, food truck inspections, and there are stickers in the trucks, and then we would be,
Well, going back to the chili cook-off, I just attended it, and it was, I love that event. They come to you with a plan, right? And you literally sign off on it, or how does that, you just tell them, yeah, you're good to go? Or do you literally, here's your license for that day?
So we handle like any other special events, we do a group Zoom meeting with Jamie, who orchestrates it, then with Scott Herbert, DPW Supervisor, Ben Haas, Allen County Sheriff's Office, and myself. And the applicants, we go through what are the needs, what are the timeline, what's going to be closed. Any tent, Jamie includes the tent, and if it was a vendor food truck, she includes the requirements right in there. We didn't have any vendor food trucks at Chili Cook-Off. I clarified, I said, with all this paperwork, Ken Trester, is there any cooking under the tent? No, it's all electric heater, all electric.
Right.
No open flame. Good. That's what I need to know. Where are the exits? And then that's how it goes. Like always, we'll loan you extinguishers to kind of promote the events. We'll loan you exit lights.
You can see them.
We even give them no smoking signs now.
Well, the exit lights at the last one was a little scary, because the rain was running down the exit lights, down the cord, into the plug, and it's like, we even joked, I bet Janik wouldn't appreciate that. But it is what it, no, but what I think is, there's a model that we can follow, if you're happy with it, that everything has to be done that way.
We still get a, you know, it's just like, I'm not picking on the school or anybody, don't give me, oh, I forgot. If, you know what happens when I make it non-compliant, then you'll read about me, Greg did this, and when I have some rather questionable events planners, or they're so big that they're just, yeah, give me a can of spray paint so I can paint the tree limbs on there. Get your own spray paint.
yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, there's no boundaries. And then you're, well, this is we're donating, zillions of dollars to, and I said, yeah, but the taxpayers are paying for it.
Again, I'm not going to
I
beat
think
dead
part of
horse,
this-
but having them have
Okay,
to
so-
meet a certain time where they either have a certificate or they get one that says non-compliant, and that's not appealable, that's done deal.
I think what I would do is maybe have that checklist. The checklist would have to be available when the meeting's scheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when the applicant, that way there's, oh, Greg, can you, last hour, can you, do this, can you do that?
No, it has to be approved way before.
Yeah, so
are
we
you
could do that.
looking for a motion on this today, or
Or
should
do we want,
amend it?
that was my question. Do we want to motion this tonight, or do we want to get those checklists first? I mean, we could do
It
this.
doesn't, you
I'd
probably
like to
won't
get
have
the
any
check.
event, probably
Between now and
up
then.
until December, will you?
We have December 7th, the Christmas parade,
Saturdays
but
event.
she's gonna
Well,
submit it.
Veterans Day,
Do you do,
right?
the
Yeah,
Douglas
Veterans Day.
Street lighting?
No.
Well, we don't do a
Yeah,
parade,
no.
we just do the tree lighting in
Right.
Berry
So
Field.
we have a parade
Yeah,
Saturday.
the Halloween parade, is that what you're,
In Douglas? Oh, that's
Yeah.
taken care of.
I'm sure, but.
The, no children parade, 10 o'clock, that's October 26th.
Oh, that's the Halloween parade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about Christmas.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Well, we could.
Okay, I think we should table it. till
I
we
move
have
that we table it
everything.
until we have the checklist and the criteria that's.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
We'd be happy to do that if that's what you
I'll
want.
second
Okay,
it
so
if we
we'll
need a
table
motion.
we'll table
I
the
think
event
that's good.
thing again. Okay, meeting location.
Yeah, this is something I'm kind of cloudy on, and I'm requesting you guys vote. Are we staying here or are we going to the township hall? And I think it needs to be a vote.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move to the township hall.
I think part of the problem we had is the audio and visual and stuff like that.
Did
I
you
think
get that
we
all
need to-
straightened out?
I think we need to keep the meetings in our house. We're trying to move away from being identified with the township. That moves us right back into that whole thing. I think the meetings need to stay here. We have our stuff here. We'll run into a lot of not having our stuff at the township. I think it's better to meet here.
You got good points there.
My opinion is we should rotate and go from there to there to there. And there you're showing the support to all three municipalities. I still think
Second on this motion, by the way.
this ADA thing is
Yeah,
still
guys.
could bite us in the ass. We are not ADA accessible.
No, we're
We
not,
can-
we're not.
We can move the meeting
We-
downstairs.
Well, and we have handled that before. I remember when we carried a wheelchair up here. Would you silence that thing, please? We carried a wheelchair up here when we had somebody, I think they had a broken leg, and we brought him up here. But, you know, they're all good points. I just don't know what you want me to do, so.
Well, it sounds like most of you want to stay here, and Jane's got some good points, I'm not arguing that. So I'll rescind my motion.
Well, as long as they can get up the steps, I don't care, but I'm just trying to think of other people.
Me too.
And
Well,
maybe
we're
I'll
all
be
getting-
Where's,
oh,
we got some...
25, for heaven's sake.
They
changed those, didn't they? They changed those.
25 is
Ooh,
next
mine's almost
year.
done.
Yeah.
Winnie, can you get the white out?
Wait, I can change back to the 24th and I can, leave. Oh, wow.
So, okay,
Well, then I
all right,
guess-
let's just have, what do you think, Stacy? You want to stay here? You wanna-
I'm okay for staying as long as, everybody feels it's okay, but, you know, I have the feeling it's gonna be a lot harder to move, actually, with the
Yeah,
equipment
I
we
agree with
need.
that.
But maybe we practice carrying people up. I mean, that could be up.
You can practice on me.
You know, the
Yeah.
basket thing we used to do when we were kids. Eric?
I don't care one way or the other.
Dan?
I think there is an advantage to having, like, a county seat, having the fire district belongs to this place. And I think that's helpful for us, and I think it's helpful for the jurisdictions. It maintains a little bit of separation, I think that's a good thing, without too much. I mean, I like being able, and I do it at every one of the council meetings, invite them to come and sit here and watch us. God knows, we go watch them plenty of times. They don't often come, but still, I don't think it would be any better if we had a meeting every 4 meetings at the city hall. So I could take the hell with that.
Well, no,
No, I know.
in my 16 years, we probably had 5 people show up.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
about, well,
Literally.
other than the big meeting, when we have the big
Yeah,
meeting
well,
downstairs.
But that's downstairs.
Kathy?
I agree, except for I am concerned about ADA issues, but I think if it becomes, you know, problematic, then we should meet downstairs.
Then we can meet downstairs. True?
Yeah.
Well, even though I made the motion, I think you had some very good points. And so you and Dan had some good points, and so I'm going to rescind my motion.
Okay, so we're staying here.
We're staying, yes, we don't need a motion. Okay, did we discuss this before, the elevator or that thing, the ride thing you get on?
We
Now,
did.
That's not that expensive. The
I
elevator, I
don't,
can see.
I personally don't think it's expensive when you look at what things cost. I don't think it's expensive at all. I don't think $80,000 is expensive. Sorry,
You don't think how much is expensive?
$80,000.
Well, that's not for, like they advertise on TV, the thing that goes up and
That's
down.
not
Yeah.
industrial strength.
That's
so
that's a stair lift, and we can't do that here. You won't have enough room to put in a stair
You can't
lift.
do it in the
Yeah,
back.
Eric Peterson put one in his house for
No,
$1,000.
it's too narrow.
Right.
We just
Oh.
had to take somebody out of a house that had a stair chair. We had to take the cot, turn it sideways to get by the stairway.
Oh, yeah.
I,
Well, I thought that would be the.
I guess 80,000 is still a lot of money, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so, I agree.
But we talked about this a year ago, and I don't wanna, we're outgrowing this place, so what's our plan next?
Yeah.
Instead of putting 80,000, and then in 2 years, or when we're all off this board, they go, why didn't those idiots do something long-term? We're gonna be growing, we just talked about hiring more people.
Yeah,
So I think we need to look at,
build that.
what's our
plan.
next step
Yeah, we need a
moving
plan.
forward?
And we have that in process with Carbon 6, who did the township.
Okay.
Oh, good.
We have that in process. They're waiting on us to meet, said I can't do it till after Thanksgiving.
So to me, moving forward, if we're gonna do something at this site, we have a boardroom or a meeting room on the first level and not worry about $80,000 here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll also say that it uses the ugly word millage again, but I think, given the demands and all the rest of it, we ought to at least have that in our minds as a possible way, rather than doing these, 80,000 here and 100,000 there and
Yeah.
this much for this and this, just say, screw it. I'm sorry, it drives me nuts to drive by that Holland Fire Station that's on Waverly right now, and if you haven't done it,
Beautiful.
take a look.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I'm not saying that's the standard,
Oh, come on.
but somewhere between here and there, that is can be the standard if the jurisdictions, if the taxpayers say, that's what we're after. I mean, the taxpayers ponied up, what was the number? How many million for the school? And now they pat themselves on the back. Look how nice the school was. Well, shit, you just spent $17 million, or $30 million, whatever the hell it was. How much was it?
No,
Yeah,
I think
but
it's-
we're still gotta remember, we're somewhat landlocked here. We're only gonna be so big.
Well, again, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to plan it. I'm just saying, as we think about it, consider the possibility that we might be able to create a situation where we have more resources than we might think we have, just as another possibility, not as a finite deal.
Well, we don't wanna keep on putting Band-Aids on
I know.
open wounds.
Right.
I think the best thing for you to do is we build here, this is not viable, okay? You're probably gonna have to sell this lot. You build off of here, and there's an elevator in the design. If the taxpayers won't do the millage increase, we'll put in the lift.
Okay.
What it doesn't address is a sleeping room.
Living
That, to
quarters.
me, we owe it to them. That's, to me, is as important as an ADA thing.
All right,
The ADA I can solve, I can't solve that.
right.
I'll get you up the stairs, we do it every week. Every week,
You do what every week?
move people up and downstairs,
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah.
every week.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Brenda's not ready to sell yet?
Should have bought that in the first place. But anyway, moving on. To new business, anonymous donation received.
That was nice.
Yep, $10,000
Wow.
to be used for EMS.
Great. And then another, $300 from Southside Body and Fabrication.
Is that for anything particular?
I'm not really sure. Chris and I, kind of on our own time, did some things and helped out with some medical things, and then we also took some food and helped out the family while Tom was alive. Chief Blagger and I visited him in the hospital. It was the first time since the accident he had opened his eyes and he actually grabbed my hand. I think it was just, my gosh, thank you.
Okay, that was nice.
Moving on, HIPAA responsibility and accountability. You have to be kind of careful about what we're saying on social media, not to get into HIPAA stuff. We shouldn't comment on accidents and that kind of stuff.
Can I
Go ahead.
expand on this, because I'm the one who gets the calls, and
Right.
so I think just a very respectful, cautionary suggestion for you to consider. Beware of the Facebook thing. When I have board members commenting on Facebook about a car accident, that comes to me. I work for you. You gotta be careful about this, because you cannot respond as much as you want. You no longer are yourself when you work for this board. So I have to be really careful with that. I'm asking you, even mentioning somebody's name on call, which a board member did, I get called. I get called, I get text, I get hammered on, why is somebody saying something on Facebook about fire department business? Don't know, it's completely untrue. There is no death down at the roundabout. It was a complete fiasco. So I'm begging you, please don't engage on Facebook on anything fire department related, because I don't know what you want me to do with it. Number one, it's violation, and it looks bad. I even had to, some of my staff, I said, you're not gonna be on Facebook. But I work for you guys, they work for me. So all I'm saying is be careful, because this came back twice last month, and I got hammered pretty bad.
Remember what Todd Christensen used to say, remember who you are and who you represent.
Right.
So, enough said. Okay, priority health costs.
Page 23, what else is new? Insurance.
Yeah.
They reduced the deductible for us, and they raised the rents. The rates. So it's up 9.4%, so essentially $7,500 increase, which is nothing new. And the employees, the deductible is, they have to contribute more.
Do the employees pay their whole thing, or do you pay the whole thing, or is there a half and half or something like that?
No, there is no
One.
half.
I asked three questions there. Who pays their insurance?
The fire department pays their insurance.
We pay the insurance, okay.
Correct.
Good.
Right.
Good. Happy with it.
Yep. So they pay the deductible, you know, up to
Right,
a point.
yeah, office calls and
And
things like that.
those are the terms that have changed, and they have some other plans in here. I think what you're gonna find is sometimes they come in lower than in 2 years they raise them, but it seems, I know with my own personal insurance, less is covered and the rate keeps going up. So that's what I think is the reality of this. So,
Okay, MMR correspondence regarding personally owned vehicles.
So this came about, I think Eric touched on it earlier, using your POVs. So I had a contact, I was sitting with our insurance representative in Traverse City along with the loss control division manager. I go, I'm concerned here because I hear that you have a problem with personally operated vehicles and liability. I said, you just shut down Saugatuck Fire Department. Because I've got 20 people who use their own car. So I said, you need to tell me, because people are running calls with their own car. I know city managers that are paid, getting a stipend for using their car for business, but we can't do it for blocking. So I took it to him, I said, I need this in writing to let you know, so you can make a decision. If you're gonna eliminate vehicles, you better start getting more money to taxpayers, because there's no way we can operate. That's the problem I had with because I was told, oh, you can't, you know, liability. They covered that. What we've always had in this fire department since I joined in '01 was, I used Greg Janik's truck, which you used my truck for 11 years. I never got a dime for it. And if I got in an accident, which I got hit by Eric, they actually were running and they were locked together, remember that?
Yeah.
And the windows were closed. And reported my insurance company.
Did they pay it? Your insurance company?
That's the reality of what we do. That's why I tell some of these councils, be careful how you treat the firefighters that paid on call. You don't pay them to use their car, but we're forced to. That's the volunteer fire service. So that's why I had to say, I needed clarity on this, because I understand how people feel about POVs, you know, I get all that, but I've had board members and spouses who blocked intersections. I don't like it either, because no matter, we're at no fault. I mean, I had a claim, Vicky's car got hit at Meyer. My insurance went up 2.5%.
Yeah.
I get it. The reality is, in public safety, we're not all blessed with having, you know, cars for everybody. That's why we try to encourage people staying at the station, but some people are not going to live at the station. They live down by Spectators, so they want to stay home. Mike Block wants to stay there. He's not going to stay at the station. So some of them use their own vehicles. Mike Block's not a good example, because he, as an officer, uses a duty vehicle. That's why we encourage the board, which you've done. We have 3 vehicles to operate. You know, Chris has one, I have one, and then we have the first responder vehicles. So I had to get you clarity on how this works. There is liability with anything we do. The way it works is, if your insurance liability gets capped by a lawsuit, the secondary, as in writing, is MMRMA. It's in writing. So I bring you this as kind of a, this is the only thing I can do. If you're going to make a policy that we can't have POV, first of all, that we need to change the whole scope of the fire department. Because there's no difference between blocking and running a fire call or medical call. There's none. So I don't know what you want me to do.
And these guys don't get reimbursed per mile to run their own vehicles?
Nope, never have since I've been here. We've asked, and no offense, first 11 years for those of us that put ourselves through school, this department wouldn't even reimburse us. Now they get reimbursed.
For going to things like that?
No, going for training.
But not to a call?
Correct. No.
I'll say it out loud, that's not right.
No, you're right.
I get reimbursed for miles from my company. It's my personal vehicle. You get 65 cents a mile. That's the government rate.
I agree. I remember I used to keep track of all my calls, and I put it on my taxes.
Well, these guys are better off setting up an LLC
Yeah,
and writing it off that way.
yeah.
At least you get tax benefits from it.
I put in a driver's log, and I had everything in there. I did that for the first 11 years I worked for the fire department. Because I was on every other weekend and 3 nights a week. And I was using my own truck, because the department wouldn't give me anything.
Well, one of the requirements I have to do, I'm just using I have to provide my company that I am fully covered and everything else on my vehicle.
What if you have an accident using it? What happens?
Still on that's my insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So my problem is I needed clarity on this, on the liability thing that's been kind of in question. And I completely respect that. I'm a businessman myself. I get that. And that's how we circle around to stop doing 18 blockers. You know, get Saugus DPW, get this, okay, get the Archer barricade so we aren't relying on POVs in the public. This is a civic responsibility to protect the public. That's what I'm going at. And when you can't use a POV, well, then you better shut down the parades, but you guys can tell them that.
We won't do personal vehicles.
That is your right as a city, Kathy. You're doing a much smaller area. You make and you pay your PD. Scott does not have that support, unfortunately. And I'm glad you do, because we don't do any blocking in Douglas. We haven't for years. That's the difference in the way they're run. But I would just want you to know from our perspective, from our insurance company, the way it stood since I joined in 2001, you use your own car, it's your own liability, just like Eric said. Same with managers. I know one manager just over here, he gets $3,200 a year. He's using his own car. So in insurance, but we can't.
I think we need to dig in this a little deeper.
Well,
We need to make this department a place where people want to work and not get screwed out of things.
One way to do it is we keep track of all the calls and we find out, we have all the calls. We create a spreadsheet that just shows them once a year we write a check for the mileage. Because POVs are all listed on there. It could be done. I've always felt bad about this.
Okay, so I think we need to move on. This meeting's getting really long, and
I
we
have
still
to
have to
leave
talk
at
about...
10:30 this morning.
I understand. But we have to talk about earned sick time yet, which is gonna take...
But can we just go by F, the memorandum?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, so when I took to this insurance company, they recommended a memorandum of understanding. I had that written by the lawyer.
Yes.
Right, I had that written by a lawyer. There will be a change in there. I gotta change some of the MMRMA language at their request. But the lawyer drafted it. He had me send it to the insurance company for review, and the insurance MMRMA said, yep, this is great. We would just delete one line for something about the insurance. So I've got to do that yet, but I ran out of time.
Okay,
So we do have an MOU. We will bring this to our people, because there's some people who don't realize it, you know. We've had a couple accidents, just mine, we had a couple people who light a starting rolled the vehicle. That's all on them. I don't see the difference. You know, Douglas can do what they want, but that's their prerogative. I don't see how you have any choice to operate a fire department other than using POVs.
So, they would use their own insurance and then go to the MMRA.
Only on general liability, not fixing the car.
Who fixes the car then?
Your insurance.
The insurance.
Right.
Okay, that's the way it is now.
That's why it was originally called volunteer. You're volunteering.
Gotcha.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so we'll save this for next time, too.
Table it?
If you have to.
Yep.
All right, moving on, the Earned Sick Time Act.
This is big time. Peter brought this to my attention. And essentially, there's a real good summary in here. I don't want to, in the interest of time, I don't want to, matter of fact, here. Please give these back to me if you can pass them out. This is a client, attorney privileged. I'll summarize this for you real quick. You got enough to go that way?
I don't think you want that in there.
So essentially, what it does is, instead of 5 sick days per year, it would be 9 sick days, okay? That would be an impact. So instead of 5 days, it would be 9 days.
Okay.
We can offset the benefits by reducing or eliminating the 3 days of annual paid personal leave that are in section 12.2 of the employee handbook. We have time to think about this. It goes into effect February 21st, 2025.
Oh.
What I didn't like was the fact that it was put in place within our fiscal year. However, legislators did this unconstitutionally in 2019, so it was a mistake. So Peter and I have looked at this, and for part-time, you get 2.5 sick day leaves per year. We can leave that in place. It'd be easier to emulate ESTA, which is the Earned Sick Time Act. So employees, part-time employees would also be entitled to this. It makes no difference if you're seasonal, paid on call, part-time, just a different formula. But it's applicable to everyone, which is huge when you consider if they can have 72 hours off a year, then how do you have to replace those people? So there's a budgetary situation, not the end of the world.
9 days, okay. But part-time only get 2.5 days?
Right, 2.5 days, sick day leaves per year, which we can leave in place. However, here's the other part of that, Drew.
Okay.
If the district sick leave policy provided that part-time employees will simply accrue 1 hour of paid sick leave every 30 hours worked, rather than 2.5 sick day leaves per year. So we'll bring this back to you with more bullet points that kind of show what is the impact on this, but the summary does a great job as far as, and what does it mean for me?
This is the summary, the last page here.
Well, it's in your packet. It's, I think, several pages.
Oh,
It's at the end of the packet.
okay. Oh, yeah.
And then there's also an impact on the CBA, which we don't need to talk about here, but this is something that's federal law that some chiefs didn't think it would be.
State law.
What?
It's state law.
State law, sorry, state law. Some people thought it wouldn't be applicable to paid on call. I brought this to our Chiefs Association with 20 fire chiefs. I think 3 of them knew about it. 2 of them thought it wasn't applicable.
Good question. Why couldn't we make this personal time off instead of sick time? That way they can use it for anything.
You can't, you have to follow the law. You have to follow,
Okay.
you have to follow the act.
Okay.
It's the Earned Sick Time Act.
Okay, well, is there anything about personal time act?
No,
No, okay.
No. It was called something else back then in 2019.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
So I just wanted to kind of brief you on this.
Thank you.
Everyone's gonna have to deal with it. And there's large and small.
Mm-hmm.
10 employees are left,
Mhm.
or less. We're large, because we're over 10 employees. There's 32.
Okay.
So I know that was a real quick snapshot, but we'll bring back more information on it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably have more questions. More stupid questions.
Okay, we have no correspondence. Is there any public comment? Mike, you're the only one left back there.
You're bored of them all.
All right,
I'm good, thank you though.
Fire Board,
What'd you say?
Stacy, Eric.
Yeah, I've had a couple people ask why the white truck's out there with a tarp flying, and it looks bad.
That's my truck.
I know it is, and they knew it was. And one of them, smart ass, said, "Can I store my truck in front of the fire department?" And I said, "No."
You gotta get better friends.
These were acquaintances. I guess my point is, I do ride by there, and sometimes I see that tarp flapping in the breeze, and I'm just wondering why we can't park
I
behind.
stored the fire department truck for 15 years.
I know, but why
so
can't we park behind the building? Is there room?
I'll take care of it.
I'm just relaying, don't shoot the messenger.
Go ahead.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Dan?
I'm great, thank you.
You're talking about the live ambulance that sits out there?
No, the
No,
the
no.
pickup truck.
Greg's
Yeah,
truck, the
okay,
chief's
okay,
truck,
all right,
somebody
yeah,
doesn't like
saw
to-
that, yeah,
Couple
Oh
people
my
didn't
gosh.
like it.
okay.
Kathy? Anything? Okay, I'll take a
That HIPAA
motion to
law, so I
adjourn,
can't tell them
please.
what it is.
Second?
Second.
We're out of here. Bye.
Oh, dang.
So tomorrow,
Yours.
Lord's
This is
saying,
yours.
because they never got